have something to show you.
If you are watching this, then perhaps there's a chance to save the Alliance.
So have you ever wanted to know how the rebels got the plans for the Death Star?
No, not really.
Yeah, me neither. But somebody thought we did, and wrote a story called Rogue One.
Rogue One? There is no Rogue One.
Well, there is now. I've got a bad feeling about it.
Quiet.
So we meet this guy Jyn Erso, who's alerted that an Imperial shuttle's arriving. His wife calls this guy, Saw Gerrera, to let him know that someone's found them, and he tells him to leave. And since time is of the essence, Galen tells his daughter Jyn to pack her stuffed animals.
Yes, all of them.
But that's okay because the Imperials park like a few miles away, so they've got a minute. Galen says goodbye to his family and goes to meet the Imperials halfway so Jyn and Lyra can sneak out the back. But just like Padme, Lyra doesn't want to be a single mom, so she's like, Jyn, you're what, 6 now? You're old enough to take care of yourself. Here, take this kyber crystal and nothing else but your stuffed animals, and you'll be just fine, as long as you trust the Force. And then she leaves her child behind and runs back to her husband that's already told these guys that she's dead.
My condolences.
Search the house!
See, this guy Orson Krennic wants him to come back to work on this special project with him, but Galen's like, sorry bro, my brain don't work good no more. That's why I'm farming dirt. But Lyra shows back up to save Galen from multiple professional soldiers.
Get that beach under control!
And dies. But now that they know that Lyra was still around, they start looking for Jyn.
Well, it's a good thing she got a head start.
Well see, she got separation anxiety after about 12 steps and turned back 2. So she's just hiding in a bush a few feet away, but somehow gets away without anyone seeing her.
Are we blind?
She gets all the way to this cave with a hidden entrance under a fake rock and hides there until Saw comes to get her.
You are being rescued. Please do not resist.
So a few years later, there's this pilot that defected from the Empire that's looking for Saw. The pilot, Bodhi Rook, is brought to Saw, who's half robot and really needs a cough drop.
Lies! Deceptions!
Now Saw's always been a bit of an extremist, but apparently he's gone off the deep end.
He's been fighting on his own since he broke with the rebellion.
I was protecting you!
He's given a flash drive that Bodhi claims is from Galen, but since he's a paranoid nutbag, he doesn't believe him and locks him up with a psychic octopus to have it read his thoughts.
The unfortunate side effect is that one tends to lose one's mind.
But he might have a reason for being so paranoid, because one of his men ran off to sell the information to this guy Cassian Andor.
Snitches get stitches.
Yeah, well, the snitch tells him that apparently the Empire can now destroy planets and stuff. And that's when some stormtroopers find him, and Cassian ends up killing him. So now the twitchy dude is freaking out, and starting to annoy Cassian.
Does he look like a killer?
No, he has the face of a friend.
We then go to Jyn, who wakes up next to a crawfish, and we see that she's in jail. She's being transferred when some people show up to rescue her, and she repays them by beating them up. But a droid body slams her, so she can't escape the rescue.
Your behavior, Jyn Erso, is continually unexpected.
They take her to Yavin, where the rebel base is, and they ask her to help them get a meeting with Saw. See, they think that since he raised Jyn, he'll let her in no problem, and then we can find out what her dad's message from the pilot was. But if everything checks out, they're gonna kidnap her kidnapped dad and have him testify to the Senate, which could be a problem.
I am the Senate.
But General Draven has other plans. He wants Cassian to kill Galen, so he can't finish the weapon. You know, because he wouldn't have made blueprints or anything.
He no longer needed me to complete the project.
And Cassian doesn't question why he thinks it's okay to override the orders of the rest of the council.
Why didn't the council give me this assignment when we were in session?
This assignment is not to be on record.
So Cassian, Jyn, and this droid, K2SO, head to Jedha after we establish that Jyn stole a gun from the base.
I know how to use it.
On the Star Destroyer, Director Krennic meets with Governor Tarkin to discuss the missing pilot. He thinks that if he tells the Senate about the Death Star, that a bunch of systems will join the rebels. But Krennic thinks that if they finish the Death Star, that these people will be too chicken to leave the Empire.
It is simple. The Empire has the means of mass destruction. The rebellion does not.
The rebels then show up on Jedha, where they continue this weird habit of people parking unusually far away from where they need to go, and they see that the Empire is mining kyber crystals, like the one Jyn has after being in jail and most likely being searched by the Empire, who's collecting them to power the Death Star.
And I gave it to them, they did not find it.
Yeah, she wouldn't have that. But Cassian goes to talk to his contact, and a blind guy sees Jyn and waves her over. They talk about her necklace that she must have hid up her butt when she was arrested.
Makes things easier.
He says that kyber crystals are found at the heart of stars. So who knows why the Empire's mining for them in the desert?
There's no logic in the Federation's move here.
Cassian pulls her away from him and says that that guy's just a pain in the ass, and to just ignore him. He then tells her his plan on how they might be able to find Saw. See, they're gonna find the sister of the guy he murdered, and hope that she'll set up a meeting.
Hope?
Yeah, rebellions are built on hope.
Jerk.
But unfortunately, that might take a few days, which they don't have because tensions are really high in the city due to the Empire's presence.
This town is ready to blow.
He doesn't like you.
I'm sorry.
I don't like you either.
But as luck would have it, they immediately bump into his guys when they attack a cargo transport. They raid all the kyber crystals, but then more stormtroopers show up, and that's when Cassian just watches Jyn fight with a stick instead of helping.
I appreciate the support.
And K2 also shows up because he got bored. When they're trying to get out of there, they make a wrong turn and get caught. And that's when Jyn and Cassian watch the blind guy fight with the stick instead of helping.
I'm out now. Rest of you can do what you want.
And then when more come, his buddy Baze shoots him.
So he's a Jedi?
Well, Chirrut wanted to be, but they wouldn't take him. And that really seems to happen a lot with them.
He's too old.
Yes, too old to begin the training.
But he's like really in tune with the Force, or at least he tells himself that.
I'm one with the Force is with me.
Well, they tell K2 to go back to the ship, and Chirrut has a seat on a dead stormtrooper as Saw's men come to kidnap them. At which point, they're all blindfolded, even the blind dude.
Are you kidding me?
See, even though Jyn tells them who she is, Cassian killed one of their guys to save her, so they don't trust him. And on the hike to Saw's cave, they see the Star Destroyer leaving the city, which is weird because this has been a super important place for them. They get there, and the guys are thrown into a cell.
We've been in worse cages than this one.
This is a first for me.
Liar!
Jyn's taken to Saw, where we find out that they had a bit of a falling out. It seems that he ditched her when she was 16 because a bunch of people in his faction found out who she really was and wanted to use her as bait. So he told her to hide and never looked for her. Kind of like I used to do with you when you were being annoying.
Hey.
Doesn't sound like you really got the gist of the game.
So Saw thinks it's a trap.
It's a trap.
It's a trap!
Because she showed up around the same time the pilot showed up with a message from her father. But because he's a paranoid nutbag, he didn't consider that she's there because he has a message from her father.
Trust goes both ways.
But when he realizes that she's a friend, he gives her shit about not wanting to be a part of the rebellion. He then shows her the message that her dad sent to Saw, which starts off with a bunch of mushy crap to Jyn.
Jyn, my Stardust.
Even though it also leads with him not being sure if she's even alive. But eventually he gets around to telling the potentially dead Jyn that he built a weak point on the Death Star and that she needs to go to Scarif to retrieve the blueprints. His message then conveniently ends when the Empire test fires on Jedha City and the cave starts to collapse.
It's all falling apart.
Cassian breaks out of his cell and has Baze free the pilot because he knows where Galen is.
How can they believe anything he says? Didn't the octopus make him go crazy?
He's fine.
That's ridiculous.
It's a miracle.
He also calls K2 to bring the ship to him.
Wasn't the ship just outside the city that blew up?
Yeah, but it's far enough away that K2 can get away. Plus, it's a really slow explosion. Cassian goes to find Jyn and tells her and Saw to come with him. So after Saw realizes he's not there to kill him, he's like, nah, I'm gonna stay here and let this cave fall on me. And they're like, alright, have fun, and run outside to see the explosions getting closer.
They better hurry.
Remember, it's a really slow explosion, and this ship is carrying all the main characters. They're gonna be fine.
I find that answer vague and unconvincing.
So they get away with time to spare, and Saw steps out on a balcony and looks at the explosion like, come at me, bro. And of course, now that he's served his purpose, he dies.
I felt a great disturbance in the Force.
Back on the Death Star, Tarkin's like, alright Krennic, that was pretty cool, but it's my toy now. Because the pilot that escaped was from where you're keeping Galen, so I'm just gonna assume that they're in cahoots. And Krennic throws a baby fit and's like, but it's my toy! Will you at least tell the Emperor that I did a good boy?
You're far too trusty.
But Krennic thinks he can get his toy back and heads to Eadu so he can figure out what happened. But that's also where the rebels are going. So now that the weapon is confirmed, General Draven is very open that he wants Cassian to kill Galen.
We have to kill Jyn Erso while we have the chance.
Why is it so important to kill him if the weapon's done?
Well, he can't make any more evil weapons if he's dead, but I guess kidnapping would do the same thing. But he also can't believe anything Jyn said that she heard in the message, because she might be a little biased.
I like to think he's dead.
But Draven's not going to risk sending a team to Scarif to get the blueprints based on her word alone, so their only hope is to bring Galen back alive, which goes against Cassian's orders.
Orders? when you know they're wrong? You might as well be a stormtrooper.
So they get to Eadu, but they need to stay low so the Imperials don't detect them. So instead of letting the Imperial pilot from that planet fly the ship, they just wing it and crash.
Another happy landing.
And because they lost signal to the rebellion, they're sending a squadron to attack Galen's base. Cassian asks Bodhi to go with him to check out their surroundings, but insists that Jyn stay behind. Jarrett says that the Force is telling him that Cassian is about to murder someone, and K2 confirms.
His weapon was in the sniper configuration.
So everyone goes off after someone else, except K2, who's trying to repair the comms, so they can establish contact with the rebels. Bodhi points out Galen, who just happens to be wearing a distinct outfit, and a group of people standing outside in the rain.
Seriously?
Cassian tells him to go find another ship, as he plays with his sniper rifle. And that's when Krennic shows up. Galen greets him, and is asked to gather all the engineers to let him know that the Death Star works. And they're all like, can we do this inside where it's dry? But actually, he wants them there to admit who gave Bodhi the message.
Very well, I'll consider it a group effort then.
The firing squad's about to shoot, but Galen admits to it. So Krennic has all the people who know how this weapon works killed, and then just bitch slaps Galen.
And there's a fresh one if you mouth off again.
Well, Cassian couldn't kill Galen either, and shows this by switching from his sniper scope to his binoculars. And that's when he sees Jyn sneaking around, which is terrible timing because K2 just got the comms to work and knows the rebels are about to attack the base. And he's like, tell them to stop the attack on the enemy base and their primary target, because the girl we just met yesterday that's technically served her purpose for this mission might get hurt.
We don't all have the luxury of deciding when and where we want to care about something.
But it's too late, and the rebels start attacking. The deck is being shot up, and stuff's being blown up, so this is the moment Jyn thinks is the best time to call out for her dad.
You must be very proud.
So he hears her over the explosions, but so does everybody else. They go to shoot her, but an X-Wing shoots the deck, and they scramble to get back to their ship. Jyn tries to get to her dad who's laying a few feet away, but when the ship takes off, the boosters knock her back. But not her dad, who is a lot closer to the thrusters.
This is nonsense.
She gets to him, and he says that she has to blow up the Death Star, and then he dies. And then Bodhi and K2 pick everyone up, and they head back to Yavin. Jin's pissed that Cassian was there to kill her dad, but he's like, I didn't do it. But since the rebels killed him, she's still mad at him. But he fires back, telling her that she didn't care about the cause until right now. But he's been doing this since he was a kid, so she can go eat a fart.
You're not here to save anybody but yourself.
I'm taking my cut. The number I was promised.
You don't know what you're talking about.
On Mustafar, some guy gets Darth Vader out of the bathtub to tell him that Krennic's there to see him.
Oh, so this story's right after Revenge of the Sith?
No, this is like right before A New Hope.
Then why is Darth Vader on Mustafar?
Shut up! Why wouldn't you set up your new house on the site where you thought you murdered your wife and your old best friend cut off all your limbs and set you on fire? It's nostalgic.
Home sweet home.
Anyway, Krennic meets with Vader and tells him, it's all Tarkin's fault! He's jealous! He's holding me back!
What? This is outrageous. It's unfair.
Then he's all, I feel so lost. And Vader tells him he knows exactly how he feels.
Really? Man of your talents?
But he tells him that the Senate thinks that Jedha was a mining accident, and that the Emperor can't find out that Galen got a message to the rebels.
Well, you owe me one, and not for saving your skin for the 10th time.
So Krennic's like, oh, so it's still my toy? Will you please tell the Emperor that I did a good boy?
Don't ask me to do that.
And then he chokes him.
Don't make me kill you.
Back on Yavin, all the rebels want to give up, but Jin's like, are you kidding me? I literally have a solution for your problem. But you're gonna surrender because you don't believe me? And since the council doesn't agree with the girl that joined up yesterday, they're not gonna invade Scarif to get the plans.
They prefer to surrender.
Apparently Mon Mothma hasn't learned a damn thing about democracies, because she still thinks that all these people can agree on anything.
The trouble is that people don't always agree.
Well, then they should be made to.
An infinite bureaucracy is how Palpatine got power in the first place.
So this is how liberty dies. With thunderous applause.
But Jyn goes back out to her new friends, who are willing to go with her, and Cassian's also rounded up a few other people who want to go too. And it's a good thing they conveniently crashed their old ship and now have an Imperial shuttle to take them there.
In my experience, there's no such thing as luck.
So when they're stealing their stolen ship, they don't have clearance, but Bodhi's like, yeah we do. And air traffic control's like, okay, and they just leave. So Mon hunts Bail Organa down and is all, these people are stupid. There's totally going to be a war.
War is inevitable.
Yes, I agree.
Don't you have a Jedi Master on tap that hasn't done shit for years? Yeah, I guess it is time for him to get off his ass and help clean up the mess that he helped create.
Hello there.
And I know just the quick-tempered, sarcastic, force-sensitive little shit to send to him.
And these are gifts from your father.
Outside Scarif, there's a giant shield around the planet with only one door to get in. Now they just have to hope that the Empire didn't change the codes to get in, or they're gonna die. So of course, it works and they head in. They notice that the building they're going into has a giant satellite dish on top. So you know that's gonna come in handy somehow. They get cleared for landing, and then they go over the plan. Cassian, Jyn, and K2 are gonna go into the Citadel, and the rest are supposed to cause a diversion by being shot at until they're all dead.
You know what you have to do.
Well, except Bodhi, because somehow he's now the only pilot.
You're our only way out of here.
I guess K2 and Cassian are afraid of flying after the crash on Eadu, but they land and beat up the inspection team that have uniforms that fit them perfectly. And then they exit the ship with no stormtroopers and a giant droid, and nobody notices. No one also sees all the guys hopping out of the bottom of the ship.
Are we blind?
But they get inside right as Krennic arrives. The team on the ground needs to sneak around and place some bombs, so they risk the mission by letting the blind guy take out the oncoming stormtroopers so they won't alert anybody.
Wow, they must really trust him.
Oh, none of them know he can do this. In fact, most of them were probably wondering what the hell he was even doing there to begin with. Because even if he can fight, how does he even know if he's hiding?
He's invisible.
Back in the Citadel, K2's getting a map of the building from this other droid, and he also now knows the posts of every stormtrooper in the place, and it's not looking very optimistic.
We will make it no more than 33% of the way before we are killed.
But then, they blow the bombs, and most of the building goes outside to fight the ground team, which was the plan, so I'm not sure where K2's pessimism was coming from.
Melchi, make 10 men feel like 100, and get those troopers away from us.
Tarkin hears of the attack, and immediately makes the connection that that's where the blueprints are kept, so he wants to go there, and thinks Vader should know what's up too. But the rebels intercept this transmission, and are sending people to help as well.
Scarif! They're going to Scarif!
Red and gold squadrons are supposed to protect the rebel fleet, and blue squadrons head into Scarif to assist the ground team. But now that the shield is closed, they can't get the plans out, but they can still use that big-ass satellite dish to transmit the plans. Only problem is that they would have to let the rebels know that they're sending it. So they need to send a message to let them know they're sending a message.
Perfectly not confusing.
So they call Bodhi to have him call the rebels to tell them that they need to blow up the shield so they can transmit the plans.
But if the shield's down, they won't be trapped anymore.
Well, I mean, it would still be a good idea to transmit the files just in case they can't make it out, which is very likely. And Bodhi doesn't want to be the one to tell these guys that they're definitely going to die here. So he lies and says that if they tell the main crew to turn on the master switch, the fleet will come and rescue them.
We just have to get a signal strong enough to get through to them and let them know that we're trapped down here.
But the rebel fleet knows that they can't talk to anybody on the planet, so they're already trying to blow it up.
Let's start probing that shield!
Jyn and Cassian are in this information vault when stormtroopers come into the lobby, and since K2's a crappy liar, he ends up using one of them to beat up the other three.
I can blend in. I'm an Imperial droid.
They find the file, but have to retrieve it in a very stupidly annoying way. And it's a good thing they can see the file from the room they're in.
It's high. It's very high.
And it's a good thing that Jyn's the one who finds it, because her dad named the file with her nickname. That's right, the Death Star is technically Project Stardust.
A surprise, to be sure, but a welcome one.
I think you're drunk.
You know, you just have to hope that's the only file he wrote in the entire facility. I mean, for all we know, the plans could be filed under the name he called his wife in the bedroom.
War mantle, cluster prism, black saber.
So some stormtroopers overtake the lobby, so K2 locks the doors behind them, and then dies. They need to climb to get to the file, and then get to the dish to send the file, so since time is of the essence, they change out of their Imperial uniforms and into something more comfortable.
Okay, we're just wasting time that we don't have.
Outside, Bodhi gets his comlink connected, but he still needs the ground team to flip a switch. And Melchi's like, dude, I don't know what that is. So he has to describe it over comlinks, which he should have done in the first place.
The master switch! It's out there, that console!
They're pinned down, so Chirrut decides that he's gonna flip the switch. And not a single person can shoot the blind guy slowly walking in a straight line.
Only Imperial stormtroopers are so precise.
But he gets to the switch, flips it, and then dies. Baze runs over to him, and nobody shoots at him while he says goodbye to his friend.
The Force did protect me.
I protected you.
Bodhi gets through to Admiral Raddus and tells him that if they're going to transmit the plans, he needs to bring down the shields, which they've already been trying to do. But this genius is like, oh wait, I forgot we had this one thing.
Call up a Hammerhead Corvette. I have an idea.
And now that Bodhi got his message out, he dies. And then Baze sees the explosion and starts shooting some bad guys, but after getting shot a couple times himself, he looks over at Chirrut and is like, you know what, I served my purpose, I might as well die too. And he dies. Well, Krennic figures out what they're doing, and stupidly only takes 2 guys for backup. So they need to climb to get the file, but they're being shot at. Cassian gets shot and falls down, bouncing off a whole bunch of stuff, then falls onto a platform and takes a nap.
Rest I need. Yes, rest.
Jyn gets up to the dish after getting past this door that's being stupid, but it's not aligned right.
So does that mean that they never use it?
Well, those were very popular on Earth in the 80s, and there are people who still have them in their yards today. So it's actually a lot more believable than you'd think. But the controls for the dish are on this platform hanging over the side for being in danger reasons, which are made apparent after she aligns the dish and then the control box is blown up. She's now hanging off this bridge that might fall off the building because some engineer didn't want to look up too high.
It's not a problem if you don't look up.
But she's also being held at gunpoint by Krennic, who she stupidly tells her plan to. But he's like, the shields are still up, you aren't doing shit. And then he gets shot by Cassian, who decided to wake up from his nap. And then the rebels drive this tiny ship into a Star Destroyer, which then crashes into another Star Destroyer, which crashes into the shield generator. And they're able to transmit the plans. So after they do, Jyn wants to go kick Krennic a couple times, but Cassian won't let her.
We can beat the people who did this.
So they just go downstairs. But then Project Stardust shows up, and Tarkin tells him to fire on the base.
I may fire when ready. We stand here amidst my achievement, not yours!
They shoot and hit the satellite dish right after the plans got through, but also hit the ocean a few miles away. And Admiral Raddus is like, well, that sucks for them. Let's get out of here. And they take off. Jyn and Cassian get to the beach where they can see the explosion coming. And they just sit down in the sand and die.
But the last explosion took forever. Why don't they try to get away?
Well, these characters aren't in A New Hope, so it's easier for them to just die so no one asks where they are. But there is someone around who is in that story. Darth Vader.
Well, that can only mean less deliberating and more action.
He knows the plans are on the Rebel flagship.
That's treason.
And he's going to go on board. The rebels have the plans on this credit card, and they're trying to get someone's attention to take it from them since their door's being stupid. But everyone's panicking because Darth Vader's coming.
This is where the fun begins.
Well, Vader happened to board the ship on the same hallway as the downloaded file and the stupid door, so they need someone to see them quick or the mission's gonna fail.
And when I got to them, we went into aggressive negotiations. Negotiations with a lightsaber.
But it never occurs to them to have more than one person try to get the door open, or to yell through the open part of the door so maybe somebody can hear them better.
You think anybody's listening?
I do.
But somebody finally comes and just tries to open the door as Vader slaughters all the other dudes. But he finally takes the card and runs away to another ship where they're able to get away.
Yeah, no, I got that much. He took off. Yeah, I don't think he's gonna come back anytime soon.
And then somebody gives the credit card to a bobblehead of Princess Leia.
Oh, it's beautiful.
So it's a good thing the Empire doesn't have anything close to fingerprint ID and just believe people's fake names.
Imagine if the Imperial authorities had found out who you really were, Jyn Erso.
Hey, stop right there.
You're all rebels, aren't you?
The video's over. I need you to subscribe.
I won't do it, Krennic. We were on the verge of greatness. We were this close.
I'll be there for you. Cassian said I had to.
You have to start somewhere.
Let's get out of here.
May the Force be with you.